Guess what we're going to do? We've got a bonus presentation that I think we've got a perfect amount of time to put in here rather than at the end. So it means that you get to leave a tiny bit earlier overall on the day. I'm looking after you. There is method to my madness. Don't worry, you got me. John, do you want to make your way up? Bonus presentation. Sometimes when you go to like a show, there's like an extra act on the lineup. That's what's happening here. So everyone's stoked. It's great. So, and Michael, that's my long way of warning you that I'm about to throw that presentation in. Great. Bonus presentation time, everybody. Yes, my one friend who is always excited. Thank you. After bonus presentation, we have afternoon tea. So lots to look forward to. I didn't get the name of your presentation, so I might let you give us a name for it. But from New Life Waste Recycling, please put your hands together. Bonus presenter, John Robbins.
Cool. It doesn't have a name because as of about 18 hours ago, it didn't exist. So look, I've been co-opted to come in late, which is great, and I appreciate that. And interesting listening to Natalie, and it obviously had me thinking fairly seriously about a few things. And I am compelled to make a couple of comments, which will lead me into my next couple of minutes. We sit at number 4 on her list in plastics recycling and processing. And there are enormous challenges in doing business up here. We all know that. We know that from government, we know that from industry, all those sorts of things. Which leads me into really the reason why we're here is that we overcome a lot of these challenges in partnerships and supporting each other. So New Life Waste Recycling is a manufacturer. We sit, in terms of the circular economy, we sort of sit at the end of where you guys are at. And we make pellets, so we pelletize. A couple of comments being made around pelletizing plants and those sorts of things. Well, that's us. And with no preparation at all, there's a couple of little photos up on the screen. So to give you a very brief summary, we were formed 6 months ago. We've been up here for 3. We rented the shed. We are an Australian-owned company with private equity investment, and we're going to fill that place up with what we do. Now, it's pretty empty at the moment, but there's a machine on the way to start the process. There's a second machine being imported, which is all about how we process waste plastic into reusable product that we then obviously sell. So you've seen on a few slides already, here's bale plastic, that's milk bottles. Those bales weigh around about 300 kilos. We retain 90% of that in our process. And if you just hold there for a sec, Michael, this is what they call HDPE. You're all quite familiar with that. It's number 2 on the scale when you look at little triangle. It's in a lot of things. Milk bottles is the most common one that people are aware of. It extends to 5-litre containers. It extends to 20-litre containers that was talked about in drum muster. It extends to IBCs, etc., and all the way through. Now, some of the challenges we have, along with everyone else that handles waste, is contamination from other products. So in there, anything that's coloured in there really consists of one of 2 things. It's caps and rings on milk bottles, or it's the paper labels. Our process removes that as part of the process. But no further outside this room, if you want to do us a favour, don't put the caps back on the milk bottles. All right, we don't need them. We can reuse it. It's different plastic, yes, but we'll be putting that aside for later development. So more than happy to go into another bin somewhere else for now, but that's just a little bit on the side. So look, yeah, we process HDPE, and it's a relatively simple process that has some complications up here, mainly around climate, because it has to be heated, has to be melted, therefore it has to be cooled. So it's a challenge for us in those spaces. So we've got we've built a component processing machine that adds a couple of extra lits on the back to help us enable to build our product. I guess the key piece for what we're here for is really about, as I said earlier on, we want to partner with people, and we want to partner with you guys. To clarify that a little bit, NTIS obviously have a commercial arrangement to do their job, and we are a customer of theirs because we are the next step on the chain for the sorting they do through their berth, and we have a great relationship there, and that's fantastic. Likewise with Drum Muster and Simone. I mean, we take their bales because we use it in our production line, so it's all feedstock. The challenges around feedstock are very real, and one of the things we've overcome very early is to be able to partner internationally to help build up our feedstock so we can be commercially viable. So that's all I'm going to talk in the commercial space. However, what we do want to do, and is really important and crucial to us in our development, is we want to engage the hearts and minds, and we want to partner with community. So yesterday, after hearing Emma's presentation, we've already spoken. So when the HDPE comes back on the barge, we'll be picking it up and taking it in. I know a lot of you got huge challenges around, dealing with your waste, moving it on where it can be utilised somewhere else, and absolutely cutting air is a major issue. So in our community space, in our partnering space, we have this vision for Northern Australia and obviously the Territory today. I'm open to suggestions how this work. And so this is a question to challenge you all, and please come back to me with the right answer. I have a vision of having any number of collection cages, bins, call them what you like, sitting in your refuse tips, where people can walk in and put all the HDPE in that cage and know that it's going to a great outcome. All right, now, Simone alluded to it, baling is an answer. We're looking at how we do that effectively for all of us. I have a vision of a truck going around the Northern Territory with a bar on the back, going to these cages, picking it up, baling it, moving it on, going around and around, making that viable, and bringing it to us so we deal with it. Now, HDPE, with all the stats we've seen in the last couple of days, is a pretty small part of your overall problems and waste, but it's something that you can allude to straight away where something's happening with what's going on. And I've been up here previously, I've been down south for a while, recycling and recycling bins, wheelie bins, that sort of stuff. People are now going, well, why do I bother? Because I hear so many stories of it ending up in a landfill anyway. Dean spoke about contamination's a major issue of what comes out of recycling bins. But we want to create a real story where we can walk up to people and go, well, this is what happens to your milk bottle when you put it in the right place, and present it correctly. So, Michael, please. So the next day, that's the machine. Now there's one of those sitting on the floor in China at the moment being tested. We packed up in all those modules. It'll come in here, we'll recommission it, and away we go, hopefully in about 4 weeks' time. This is the next stage of our crushed milk bottles. So it gets shredded. At the risk of trying to get, no, I don't have a pointer. This is the stuff that we talk about in the rings and when we talk about the rings and the caps and those sorts of things, and the paver flakes. Now the process separates that, okay? The different densities, the different weights separates in the process. We will collect it and we will use it again for something else down the track. But that's what happens to your milk bottles and your drums, and that's our feedstock. Pretty much that goes into the machine, and after a little bit of processing, that's our saleable product, which really is, as we talked about earlier, that's pellets, okay? We bulk bag them up and we move them on. So the process is relatively simple, but all the things that Natalie just spoke about, absolutely there are challenges, but we're here and we're determined to make it work, and we know we will do it, and we've solved a lot of the problems already with partnerships, and we want to keep doing it. So as I said, I've got a dream, and it's just collecting all this HDPE that's lying around in the majority of your remote areas and making sure we can do it effectively. Balers, crushing, transport, they're the things we've got to get around. But we're here to partner. Thank you.
Thanks, John. bonus presentation with a dream. Does anyone have any questions? Yes. Yeah. You did well enough to get a question. It's exciting.
It might
Just
not
a
be.
quick question. Basically, what would be the best way of receiving it? Would it be baled? Would it be shredded? What's the best way for you guys?
Look,
Do you know yet?
the best way that gets rid of most air. Yeah, so look, really depending, baling is probably the most cost-effective way of doing it that we're aware of. Shredding, absolutely. The problem with shredding will be okay, but sometimes there's a more expense to that process of shredding. So for example, we're getting a dirty great big bugger of a granulator in, and I didn't really touch about it a minute ago, but we will take wheelie bins. And we've got a granulator coming in where we can put a full wheelie bin in and produce wood chip size product at the end of it. Because that then becomes our feedstock. So the flakes that's 2 or 3 runs through something like that to get it to that sort of size. Right now, the most effective way is baled that we're aware of.
And that's no particular size. It's just baled and sand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And we'll take, I mean, as you know, right now we're doing milk bottles to 20s. We're sort of the 44 size, or the 200 litre size, might have to be cut in half maybe to get it to be effective. IBCs we love, except for what they hold. So we're working, that's obviously a challenge in terms of toxins. I mean, we can't take toxins or those things. So.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Well, let's have a round of applause for the bonus presentation. Thank you very much, John. We're going to have an afternoon tea break now, my friends. So you've got an opportunity to recaffeinate, to get some fresh air, and to network with some people. And we're back in here at 3 o'clock. Our last presentation is at 3 o'clock, and then we close the day once that one's done. So go and mingle, have some tea, have some sweets at the back or whatever they've got for our afternoon tea. Back in here at 3 o'clock.